think really understanding the biology, the public health implications for both communicable and non-communicable diseases not only strengthens your own healthcare if you're a wealthy nation, but really extends it globally and provides much greater benefit. So we need to figure out how to get Africa at the forefront of the key decision makers within the pharmaceutical industry. So there's some advantages to working in Africa and developing clinical trials capabilities in Africa. And we've seen this with HIV. As the epidemic dynamics shifted, there was a lot of effort invested by US research organizations such as the NIH to build up clinical trials capacity. And that was instrumental in helping us understand everything from the role of antivirals in prevention, the role of antivirals in clinical outcomes. And by engaging and developing these multinational clinical trial sites and clinical trial capabilities, it enabled much more rapid discovery and development of therapeutics within that space. And those were globally beneficial, right? Whether you were in Italy or South Africa, knowing that antivirals prevent transmission was incredibly beneficial. It's a tough question when there are many competing demands on resources. So the bilateral thing, I think, is okay, but it has its flaws. I mean, if you look, we've had, 20, 30 plus years of, investment in say, HIV and HIV research. But, whoever holds the purse strings sort of decides how the tune is played, right? So the whole research agenda, the scientific objectives, if they're coming from, Seattle, New York, etc., they're very different from if they were coming from Harare, Nairobi, Kisumu, etc. In the early days of HIV, there'd be research happening in Africa, and literally samples were being shipped to the US for analysis. So there are all these biorepositories with these samples from African settings. And then people realize, this is not such a great idea. Let's build some local capacity. And so for us as Africans, if we don't do that, nobody will. So yes, we have pressing primary healthcare needs, but if we don't study the things that really affect us, we're always going to be sort of behind the problems as they emerge. So all of our countries signed on to spending 1% of GDP on R&D investments, and most of our countries are nowhere near that. But we need to do that. We need to do what America did post Second World War: invest in research, invest in science. Yes, you have lots of other problems, but those investments will pay out. You'll get such a huge return on your investment in 10, 20, 30, 40 years time. I think if governments can at least commit to what they signed up for and invest 1% in R&D, put in their opportunities for local philanthropy as well to fund research. Make access to research technology cheap and affordable. It's always bizarre to me that somebody with HIV could get access to care, free care and excellent care, while their mother with diabetes, couldn't afford the drugs, ends up going blind or having renal failure, etc. And that's the problem when somebody else drives your health agenda.